Well, good morning, everyone. This is Eric from Usign coming to you from beautiful downtown Huntsville, Alabama. Where we are just supposedly a short time away from having Google Fiber installed in our community, and maybe my internet connections will go away. I hit this morning, we had less than the bare minimum required in order to be able to do this webinar. So hopefully it'll be a really good experience. You all have told me that the sounds is good and that you can see the image. And so we should be able to proceed. Now, we've had several of you that have jumped on. So please introduce yourself. Let me know where you're from. I'll say hi to you, and that'll give us a little bit of an opportunity experience here with the platform and with the stuff that's going on, and I'll be able to greet you. Good morning, Jim in Richmond, Virginia, Nicholas from France, and Sam is saying good morning from Eastern Tennessee. I know where Sam's at. And Gloria from Oregon. Who else do we have this morning? I've seen several of you. Herman from the Netherlands has already said hello. Jay from Texas, Jerry from Kerry, Ireland. And who else do we have? Wonderful little crowd today. As we make this transition from our previous notifications and the things that we were doing, I think this is going to work better than it was in the past. Good morning, Gene. Gene, listen, I would really like to talk to you. You did something in the group that I would like to I'd like to talk to you about. So it's really good, and I think that folks need to see that. So let's connect sometime when you have time. I know you're a very busy man, and I appreciate your input in the group. We have Bob from Scottsdale, Arizona, and Gordon from London in the UK. So good. I'm so glad to see you all this morning. Jumping in here, Leandro from Portugal. Yeah, I'd really like for Gene to be the next power user, but I want him to show something. Gene's always doing these great little demos, and so. Yep, I was thinking the same thing. So we'll see if we can't put a little peer pressure on Gene to be our next power user. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. We'll get into the agenda in just a moment. I want to talk about some things as we get ready to do this. I still have up the old intro screen, which I need to fix, and I apologize for that. I didn't realize that till I turned it on this morning, and I went, oh no, I forgot to change that. So little ground rules today. If you have a question, put a question mark before the question. That way, Gloria will be able to identify that, and she will note and take note of that. We'll be able to catch it. It'll be easier. This platform does not have the ability to do what we had done in the past. And that was identify the questions with a question capability, and so we can't do that. So I appreciate you just giving us a little hand and preceding your question with a question mark, and that'll make it a little bit easier for Gloria to stay caught up, because she does an amazing job. We just want to make sure that she doesn't get behind, and if you will help with that, either put a question mark like I have just given you in the chat, or something to that effect, and that way we can identify that. Just help us out a little bit here, and it will make life very, very easy for us to be able to catch up. Because while we have an agenda, there's also some things that we really want to focus on, and that is helping you solve whatever problems that you're facing, so that this can be a great experience for everybody. So let's keep everything as positive and upbeat as possible. We'll have a great experience, and that when we get finished, we'll say that this has been a good time for us to learn to solve some problems using Usign and GiveSign and the tools that are available to you. So let's get started on today's agenda. Okay. First thing I want to talk about is, and this comes up a lot, GiveSign is a desktop version. And so you will have to upgrade your desktop version. You'll see a little red bell up in the corner if you need to upgrade. Also, you can go to GiveSign.com and log into your account. And when you do that, It will also tell you if you're using the most current version of, or it will tell you what the current version of GIFSign is so that you can do that correctly. But because it is a desktop version, you'll have to upgrade from there. USign is a web-based product, and so you're always using the most current version. That's something that came up in the interview with Gloria, a question that comes up a lot. And so I just wanted to address that this morning. The easiest way to make sure that you are up to date is to with GIFSign to go into go into your account and yes, make sure that you uninstall before you reinstall. But make sure that you go into your GIFSign account and you check there to see what your current version is. Okay, so you will always be up to date with USign because it is a cloud-based program. For the most part, it's a cloud-based program. Okay. So just remember that, because that question comes up a lot. We get asked that a lot during the webinars as well, and I will address that a little bit more detail in just a little bit. Now, the last update that we had was with this editing tool, and so I want to remind you that we now have the ability to edit in a little bit better fashion, a little cleaner fashion than we did in the past. And so make sure that you take advantage of that, and that you use your, because sometimes what will happen is when you do a screen capture, you'll get something in that screen capture that you want to get rid of, and that makes it really easy for you to eliminate that with the new editing tool that's there. That little tweak that's there makes it possible to do that. The guest feature. I want to talk about the guest feature. The guest feature is intended to introduce the public to how you're using USign or GIFSign, and also gives you an opportunity to feature your work, which should say your work instead of you work. And so this is a great opportunity for us to excuse me, I had a tickle in my throat. It's a great opportunity for us to be able to highlight people. And then when we're finished, you get a copy of the video of the interview. And I really want to encourage you to nominate somebody like we've already had happen this morning, and make sure that we have a chance to highlight your skills, your abilities, your capabilities, and you have far more than you know. And if you will go through this whole little interview process, I promise you, it'll give you some tools that you can use, because one of our promises back to you is to give you the video, so that you then have a tool that you can use on your website or wherever else that you might want to promote that, in your Facebook fan page or someplace, so that people get introduced to the capabilities that you have. And this helps make an authority figure out of you, and it'll be very, very helpful to you, I promise. Okay? So if you know someone, or if you think that you should be interviewed, and listen, it's a painless experience. We have on this call, I don't know if I'm not sure that they're on this call, but Stephanie Beck has been interviewed. Herman's on. I know Herman's on. Herman could tell you that it was a pretty painless experience. And then guess who we're going to have today? We're going to have Gloria today, because Gloria does cool little stuff like this. And I want to share Gloria and her capabilities with y'all today, so that you'll get a chance to see just a little tiny snippet of the things that she does. And hopefully the video will play well. We have a little connection issue, but we'll make sure that it was. Herman says it was a painless experience for both of us. So that's kind of good to know. Okay. Yes. I just love the opportunity to be able to do that. One of my favorite things to do is to interview people and highlight their capabilities. I just think that's really, really cool to be able to do that. No, Gloria, you were wonderful, and everybody's going to get a chance to see that in just a minute. So just some interesting things. If you have any questions about GIFSign, we're going to be able to address those this morning. Oftentimes this comes up, and I just want to give you a chance to be able to ask questions here. We've invited the people from the GIFSigners fan page, or I'm sorry, the users group, to come over and join us. And so I want to make sure that you get a chance to ask your questions, because this is going to be the primary onboarding kind of opportunity for people with GIFSign. Okay, so we want to make sure that we get a chance to get your questions in here, and we'll talk about some mock-ups today and some other cool stuff and little things as we go with GIFsign. So if you have any questions about that, now's the time to ask them, because I keep that area pretty brief. Okay, and so if you have specific questions having to do with GIFsign, make sure that you ask them now. Either using the capital Q or the question mark, and let us know what those questions are. We'll do our best to try to address those when we get to that, but we're not going to come back to it during the webinar like we do in other cases, okay? The next one is, in our community news, there's a couple of things I want you to do. Make sure that everybody understands. Now, obviously you do because you're on, but if you happen to see somebody asking questions, well, what happened to the webinar? Make sure that you share with them that we have a new registration page for that, and that they need to use that new registration page to get into the new webinar platform. And once you've registered, then you will automatically get the updates every week. Okay. So that will tell you that there's going to be a webinar. You'll get the notification on Thursday that there's a webinar on Friday, and then you'll get it an hour out in the morning. And then you'll get it 15 minutes out in the morning. Plus the fact that we also put it in the groups. Okay, so we do our best to try to let everybody know what's going on so that you can get on the webinar, ask the questions that you have, and do the things that need to be done there. Okay, we also have, and I forgot all about this. This happened while I was out, and so we have a fan page as well, and we have some cool plans with that fan page. So if you have not liked that fan page, make sure that you go in and like that fan page. And Gloria, if you wouldn't mind dropping the link to that in here, I would appreciate it. Good morning, Tom. Glad to have you on this morning from Apple Valley, California. Okay. We had a guest one day, and he said, how do you know where everybody's from? I said, because we've kind of become quite the family here. And yes. Good morning, Hillary. I hope you're doing well this morning as well. One more thing, and then we're going to get out of the community news, and I'll tell you what today's topic is going to be. Make sure, because I get this question all the time. Well, I didn't get any notification about today's webinar. Make sure you have notifications turned on in the group, because if you have good morning, Pete from London. If you have notifications turned on in the group, then you will get a Facebook notification when I post the link for the webinar. All right. So make sure you do that. It'll really help us. It's one of the reasons why we do that. Okay. Now, I started talking about editing tools last week and didn't get too far. So we're going to pick up and continue with the editing tools today. And I think you're going to find some really helpful tools here. As a matter of fact, there was a question asked that I want to address, and I'm going to address it first, and then we're going to talk about a couple of other things. But there was a question asked in the last webinar that I said I don't have time to answer that now, but I will definitely do that in the future webinars. So I'm going to address that question today, and I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, now I'll share with you some tips and tricks and some things that are there, and we'll get to the design canvas. Make sure if you have any questions, hit those questions up right now. Good morning, Carol. And we'll make sure that we get your questions included. Okay? All right. Make sure that you hit your questions up as we get ready to move over to the design screen here. But before we do that, I think what I'll do is I think we'll play the Gloria interview right now. Okay, I'm going to need your help with this because this is the first time using this platform with this. So as it starts to play, let me know that you're hearing the sound okay. Stefan, good to have you this morning, but let me know if you're hearing the sound okay. Our listeners are going to be excited to see you because they get a chance to hear you. They chat with you. You handle their support tickets, and you're very engaged in our webinars. So I'm excited about having you on. What most people don't know is the incredible number of designs that you have done. And you have done a lot of designs in Usign. I know you've done a lot on other platforms as well, but you have really, really put out an awful lot of designs in Usign. I'm not going to gender a guess, but if you won't come up with a number, I can. So do you mind telling us how many designs you actually have on your dashboard in Usign?
I actually created a new Usign account and just kind of pushed some of the best that I've done over, because my dashboard is such a mess and you all would be horrified. So I've tried to make it pretty. So,
well, I do know this. I know that you've saved over 3,000 designs, and I think that a lot of people will find that quite shocking. So,
yeah, you looked it up, huh?
Yes, I did. I thought, I've got to find out. You can't be that good and be that quiet. We're just not going to let you get away with that. Do you have things that you would like to show us? And if you have something besides Usign, if you want to show us GiftSign, that would be great. But
I'd have to look those up.
Okay,
actually.
All right, not a problem. Let's just focus on Usign, because I don't want you to steal my thunder. I plan to talk about GiftSign a little bit today. So go ahead.
Okay.
Perfect.
Is that what you want to look at?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So I just put some of my more recent, what I consider to be the better designs that weren't done too quick. One of the recent was your card, and I don't see that it made it over. So
I recognize the Happy Birthday Rose. I remember seeing that.
Oh yeah, that was a fun one. Rose's birthday, I kind of set off a little spree of happy birthdays for her on the Facebook group, so that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
Her cute little avatar she uses.
Yes. Very good. Blow a couple of those up so we can see those. They're pretty amazing.
Let's see.
Designs. You're very creative with your designs as well.
Thank you. Yeah, this one was fun. I pieced together like 3 different elements. I used the background erase. Sorry, that's the neighbor's doggy. The flowers, I used background erase. I did background erase on the egg. And then, of course, I love the shadows. I think the shadows in Usign is better than any other program I used.
I would agree with that. And plus, they have some capabilities that you don't see on other platforms as well.
Exactly. The grouping feature is really neat, the save for later. I've always been excited about that one because it just makes it so simple. This one was fun. It doesn't look like much, but I did this to kind of give one of the Usigners some ideas how they can make a fun border.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of fun to explore with them. This one too. Most of my designs come from helping the Usigners, actually.
Yeah.
This is when I welcomed Bonnie to the Usign team, so that was kind of neat and a special day. Let's see. This was just a thank you to the Usigner. Just a fun, quick little thing.
Pretty amazing. Really nice looking designs.
Thank you. It's kind of simple. I wish I had more to show you. Kind of ran out of time. Had one of those days where my net did not want to.
So tell us, is there anything, now that you get a chance to speak to the group and you're not just in the chat talking to us, is there anything in particular that you would like to say, or anything that you think addressing that might be helpful to us?
Well, the first thing I could say about working in support, it's very fluid. So you never know what your day is going to bring. Sometimes it's a very nice flow and things go well. And then other times you can kind of come on to a flood and you just kind of go, whoa, help. And just do the best you can to get through it. But I really love working with the Usigners. It's really a lot of fun. Sometimes it's a puzzle. You know, they come and ask for help and you go,
That makes it interesting, and then you come up with these amazing designs. I'm looking at the problem, and then I see Gloria comes up with this amazing design. I go, wow, yeah, that's the reason why she does what she does. And so, anything else you'd like to share with our group today, since you get a chance to share?
Well, I don't know. I would like to say that creativity comes in many forms, because a lot of people will knock themselves, and it really kind of takes me aback, because when I do see what they've created, or they send something and say, hey, this is just not working out for me, and I just kind of go, hey, that's a lot better than what you think, you know?
Yeah.
And I just want to put encouragement out there. Don't give up and don't think your stuff stinks, because, hey, I can tell you right now, I look at those designs I made in Usign and I go, that could have been way better. So, you know, we all have our level of skill and we all have our level of knocks, and just stay confident in what you're doing, because most of what I see is pretty darn good efforts and very creative. So,
well, the cool thing is that we have a very supportive group. Very rarely is there much negativity about somebody saying, hey, what do you think about this? Usually they'll give you all of the things they like about it. And there may be something that needs to be tweaked here, or something that needs to be changed over there. Or, you know, for some people, you can't read that. I have some issues that I can't always read what people do. And it's good to get that input, but that's not a negative thing. That's
no, it's good feedback.
Being helpful, and I think we have a very helpful group that is really committed to helping each other. So
there's quite a few that are quite active, like Gene Carey. He's sometime in there answering the questions before I can get in there, and I'm like,
I know he beats me oftentimes.
I think, thank you. That's awesome. And then Jim, he's another one. He's in there and he asked some great things. He actually had me.
You know, and he's a fairly new user too, so it's fascinating to watch him develop. It really has been.
It has, and it's really neat because you get to see a lot of the users do that. When they first join, they have all these questions, and next thing you know, they're starting to post their designs. I try and encourage this.
And the designs are amazing. I'm just like, wow.
I know, and some people come with stuff, and I go, gosh, I would never have thought of that. I would never have thought to put certain elements together in specific ways. And I thought, dang, I didn't realize I was so stylized in what I do, depending on what platform I work in. So it was kind of an eye-opener when I started the support.
You're amazing, Gloria. Anything you'd like to say as we close? So, Gloria, tell us something that you've observed or that you think the training can do or provide for people as we move forward. Because you and I have talked about doing some cool things with the training. So.
We have the training with Usign is the first thing to note is that there have been some dashboard changes, and not to let that alarm people, because people will write in and go, that's not what I have. Please tell me I've got the most current version of Usign. Yes, everybody has the most current version of Usign. That's important, number one, to know. It's cloud-based. So as far as the training, though, you can apply it to almost anything. If you just realize that some elements have just been shuffled, some new cool stuff has been added, we will probably get some new tutorials at some point to help people along. But I really like the webinar replays, because that has invaluable training in it. And
you try to beat me to the punch sometimes, too.
I think sometimes I do.
I can tell you, of all the people that I've worked with over the years doing webinars, your support has been fantastic. So I greatly appreciate that. So, Gloria, thank you so much for joining us today. I know that the people love you. They look forward to interacting with you, and you've been extremely helpful to them. So thank you for doing this for us today.
Thank you. I appreciate that you asked.
So how was that? Did you all enjoy that? That was just I thought it was an incredible opportunity for us to get a chance to see a little bit from Gloria and just get a sneak peek of her designs. And I have a second video, which we're going to figure out how to play in the first part of when you all register. Instead of just playing the background music, I'm going to start playing that video as kind of the introduction to that, because she's got some really, really cool designs there. It's a very brief video, so I'm going to find a place to put it. It's about 3 minutes long. I'm going to find a place to put it so that we can so we can share that it kind of helps to inspire the whole webinar kind of thing. And then we're going to take these videos, and I did the first one this week, and that was we put up Stephanie's interview in the group, and we'll put Herman's up later, and then we'll put Gloria's up at another time, and then some of those people who we're trying to encourage to get in, we're going to put theirs up as well, because I think it's fascinating to be able to see your designs, to put a face with, as all of you are saying right now with Gloria, to put a face with Gloria and get a chance to see and to hear her and to listen to her and see the creativity that she brings to the table. You know, I'm a very pragmatic person. She's a very, very artistic person. And so when we bring those two elements together, it's pretty amazing. And you're the ones who get to benefit. So I'm just reminding you one more time, don't forget to put your questions up as we get ready to move over to the design screen. So let me share that with you right now. And I will get you moved to the design window now, and we will start there. I didn't get any questions about GIFsign, so if we had any questions about GIFsign, now's the time to ask. Or actually, you should have asked earlier, but let's ask so that we can get those addressed before we jump over to the design dashboard. Okay? If not, we're going to jump into the design dashboard, and I'm going to go back to talking about editing tools. All right, let me get my stuff set up over here, and we'll be ready to go here in just a second. All right, we're going to, I'm talking about the design tools over here on the side. I need to get just enough space here that I can see your questions that come up. Gene's making a comment here. I'm trying to see. Let's just scroll down to see the tabs in GIFsign. Notice the slide bar between the two sections that allows us to scroll down to see all the tabs in GIFsign. I'm not sure, Gene. I know that there have been some slide bars and some scroll sections that were added, which I thought were kind of cool, but I'm not sure that I know exactly what you're talking about. All right, let's talk about the design platform here. Okay. Yes. Okay. Thank you, Gloria. Yes, Gloria, can you drop that webinar registration? It's usign.com/onboarding is the registration screen. Okay. Feel free to share that with your friends as well that would benefit from the webinar. All right, let's talk about the editing tools now. This comes up a lot. How do I make something with the background of my letters? And so one of the tools that you can use to do this with, and it's kind of a multi-step. I have a client that is in the CBD oil business. And so I took this, the three letters CBD, and I wanted to place it's a derivative of the hemp plant. So I wanted to use hemp as the background of that and be able to do that. That's a multi-step process. And you start out right here. But what you're going to do is you're going to take the letters and you're going to use one of the editing tools with the letters. I'm going to close this right now, and I'm going to darken the background so we can see what's going on here. Turn that off. And now I'm going to add text. Now, when I add the text, I want to talk about this for a second. That's the wrong color. But let's add a text we can see. When you your top tool right here, people are always asking me, where did you get all of these over here? Several times people have asked, is that an extra that I have to buy with Usign? No, it's not an extra that you have to buy with Usign at all. What that is that you have the ability right here to save this. If I wanted to save this at a particular angle, And I really liked that angle right there. I really liked being able to have a border on it. And I wanted it to have a shadow that pointed in a particular direction. And I could make that shadow out further. I could make that shadow darker. All these are tools that you have on this slide bar. But when I save it here, I have the ability to save that text design just like that. So that's where I'm getting that from. Okay? People are always asking me, where does all that text come from over there? So these are all questions that get answered with the editing tool. All right? So I have saved that now, and it's just exactly like it was here. So you see that? All right. Now, just wanted to give you a rundown about that text over here. So we're going to take this text, and I'm going to go back over here, and I'll make some adjustments to it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a border around the outside of it, and then I'm going to click this no fill box right here. And did you notice how the border went away? Turn the shadow off. The border, I'm sorry, the fill of the letters went away. And when the fill of the letter went away, what I did was I then took that and I saved it. I went back in with my erase tool. I took the erase tool right here. Well, I have to have something saved. But I took the erase tool, erased the background, and you can see over here how I did this. All right. I erased the background from this. I saved it with a white background, then I erased the background. And you'll notice there was a little need for cleanup here. And then I saved it with the white background, went back in, and it was really easy then to use the erase tool and clean that all up. Because I had a stark contrast. You want to make sure when you do this that you use a stark contrast. Notice the first thing that I did was I did the outline, the border of the letters was in white. And by using the borders in white, it was easier for me to be able to delete the background. Okay, so I take the background erase tool here. Very easy to do because you have this stark contrast that's there. And you go in here and you just mark a few places. And then you do this. Boom. And there you go. And that question comes up a lot. Now you save that. Make sure that you save it with it. And you can play with the background here to make sure that you got it right. See? But make sure that you save it with a background color. I have this happen a lot. People will say, well, I'm not getting a transparent background. It's because you forgot to save the background color as transparent. And make sure that you save it as a transparent background. Now I can save that as an image. And when it saves as an image, I can use that image to do with whatever I want. Okay? Let me take a look here. Yes. Deleting the saved text is really, really easy to do, Herman. As soon as this finishes loading, I'll show you how to delete the saved text. Let that finish loading. But yes, you can see some of the stuff over on the side. These were the products that I was using for my client, and we eliminated the background, put a new background on so that it looked good because their backgrounds were just white. I saved the image as a PNG file, Carol, just because I think that the clarity is better. So I save it as a PNG file. Okay, Susanna, I'm assuming that you're saying that you need to know how to do this for a client in the future. Okay, let's talk about that while we're finishing this up over here. And again, I have a very, very limited internet access, so it's loading very slowly. And I apologize for that. Thought if we gave it a little time here, we could do that. The difference between Usign fonts and system fonts. Usign fonts you can do all kinds of things with. The system fonts will give you some issues. Okay, I know we're going to add additional fonts in Usign sometime in the very near future, but system fonts are a problem, and there's a limitation to what you can do with system fonts. Okay. All right, that should have saved by now. So, but you saw my point. My point was that in this is, now let's go back up here and we'll take a look at this, because this question comes up a lot. How do I know which fonts are system fonts and which fonts are Usign fonts? Now, we have the recently used fonts, we have the grunge fonts, we have the handwritten fonts, we have the impact fonts. Those are all Usign fonts, okay? Then we have the sans serif fonts, we have the serif fonts, then we have the various fonts, and then we get to system fonts. The system fonts you will have issues with. So if we take this and turn that into a system font, I'm now limited in what I can do. I don't have my little rotate button up there, and if I adjust it like this, then it doesn't do the same thing that it would do as a typical Usign font. So we'll switch back to a Usign font, and there you have that. Okay, so you will have issues, always have issues with system fonts as opposed to the Usign fonts. Yeah, they don't scale very well, and they have some issues because, again, they're pulling from your computer, not from the platform with Usign. Yeah, sometimes changing the browser can help, but there's some limitations to what you can do. Rotating them becomes very difficult. So checking to make sure we've got that, because this is a major tool. The font tool is a major tool. All right, so the fonts are really important, and they're such a major part of what we do, because most of your images is going to have some type of a text on them. So if you can keep it in the system, if you can keep it in the Usign fonts rather than the system fonts, you'll have much more success with it. Okay, and we've got a really good menu of fonts here that will enable you to do an awful lot of stuff. Okay, but keep in mind that when you do that, you can add a border or remove a border. You can actually add a border and no fill it. If you have a problem using the no fill tool, it's because you didn't add a border. All right, so always make sure that you've added a border. Because without the border, it doesn't have any way to, there's nothing to fill. It's removing, there's no place to remove to text. It doesn't know what the borders are. So something I want to show you, we're going to go back over here and I'm going to grab the, this is an image, but I want to show you something that I think is really important that you see here. Because Gloria mentions it in the interview. And I think this is really important. Wait a minute, there's a question being asked here. Again, a lot of problems get solved by understanding the editing tools, and that's the reason why I wanted to dedicate a Friday or two to understanding the editing tools. So this looks fine here like this. You know, if we were to put this on a different background, there's some cool stuff we can do with that. You saw the one on the GIF that I had a while ago. But this, while it's an image, and these are the parameters of the image, if I turn on my my border tool, it goes around the outside of that. You see that? It just finds the outside edge of the text. But if I turn on the shadow tool, it finds other things. Can you see that? Now it finds the edge of my image. And so I can do some cool stuff with this by using, I've taken the image, created letters out of an image. I now can use them. I can do all the stuff that I could do before. I can do this. I now can use those. I can resize them. I can't do some things. I can't put a border around it now, but I can put a shadow on it. And as Gloria said in the video, the shadow tool in Uzine is incredible. This is an incredible shadow tool. And it is right here. And I can change the direction. I can change the opacity. I can make it a real light shadow. I can make it a real dark shadow. I can move it way out, move it way in. It's something that I can play with and achieve all kinds of effects. All right, something that we don't use enough. Yes, that's an image, Jay, which I think is kind of cool. We can do that with an image. And I did this by creating the letters using no-fill. Laid the no-fill letters with the transparent background over the top of that hemp image, and then erased everything else. Saved it. It's a 4-step process. It's a little lengthy. It's not something you want to do with a paragraph. Something that you want to do with just, in this case, these 3 letters were all I wanted to do. It took me about 2 minutes to do that, but it's kind of a cool ability to be able to take those letters and turn them into something, and you can see how cool that would look in a situation like that. Now, keep in mind that if I am going to turn this to a different color background, as awesome as that green looks on the black, my shadow just went away. So if I go back over here, I can actually change the color of my shadow. And I can do some cool things with it like that. Okay? Now, I love the shadow tool as well. Jay, quickly, what I did, and I'm not going to go through the whole process, but quickly what I did was I took this right here, and I took the white letters. I put the white CBD letter over the top of a hemp background, and then I no-filled the letters with my no-fill tool, which I can't do now because these are not letters. This is now an image. Saved that. Then I went in and I erased this area right here, including the white. And I had a decent contrast between the white and the green, so it was fairly easy to do. All right. And then I saved that image and I got to this point right here. All right. It's a 4-step process. And yes, then you could use that as a logo. In this case, if you saw the agenda that I had up earlier, I actually used this as an introduction to a little GIF that I did introducing the CBD oil, and I had taken the other products and put them behind that. And so this was the introductory, kind of like a logo. Yeah. I wasn't allowed to use their logo in this particular case for manufacturing purposes, but it was great to do in this situation. Okay. Sam, I don't know if that's ever been saved anywhere. That would be a great little video to do. Yeah, I've done that a couple of times on the call, on the Friday webinars, but I didn't want to get into how to do that today as much as I wanted to say, these are the tools that we have over the editing tools, and we forget to use them sometimes. And I just wanted to remind people that oftentimes the questions that you ask get answered by in the editing tools right here. Just simple little stuff that gets included there. So let's do one more thing here that I saw Gloria had done in one of her images. she had done something which was kind of cool. Okay, and I am going to take two pieces and I'm going to put them together. And again, this is loading really, really slow because of the speed of my internet. Yeah, I'm not gonna mess with the speed of my internet here. This is gonna slow me down something horrible. So, and we're running slow on time. So I'm gonna show you two other tools. Again, when I started this morning, Demio told me that I was below the bare minimum to operate today. So we're doing our best to try to make this work this morning. Looking to see if there were any questions asked while we were doing that. I don't see anything. Okay, let me grab a couple of things here. Because I got asked this question as we were parting last week, and I want to make sure that we do that today. If we can do this. Let's see, where do we have this? Grab this little person right here. Because this is a great tool that we can use. There you go, Gloria. Tom's asking you a question about your little smiley face. Yeah, it was just an image from Pixabay. Okay, this person right here. Not the best to do this with, but I'm going to show you how to do it because it's kind of cool. Let me change this from a YouTube thumbnail to a different size here. Oh my God. Make this a little bit wider so we can do this, because this question comes up occasionally about this. This is not the best silhouetted image to do this with. I was looking to see if I had a different one here, and I thought I have a bunch of those saved, but they may be on a different platform. So I'm going to take a graphic here, and I'm going to grab a lake image. Find a good lake image here. And I want this to be really big, like this, okay? Make that the background, which makes this little person appear here. And Carol, I believe you asked this question the last time, and so I wanted to get a chance to address that with you if I could. I'm going to take this person right here. Again, my internet's running really slow. And I'm going to duplicate this person. Now, I'm going to flip it. All right. Little alignment issue today. But now I can take this image right here and I can reduce the opacity of it. And make it appear as a reflection. Well, that's what I was looking for, Tom, was my tree image. I think that's part of what I was looking for. So do you see what we did right there? We flipped that, we duplicated it, we flipped it, we reduced the opacity of it. Very common thing to do. Now, in this particular case, and this is a great way to do this, all right? But in this particular case, I also want to do something else. This is my background. I want to take the background now and I want to blur it. All right? Because if I blur it, then I'm making the person stand out. Now, not necessarily what you want to do in this particular case, but do you see how important that would become? Does that make sense? So don't forget you have the blur tool as well, which can give you that depth of field look that you're looking for. Yeah, remember when you do that, if you're going to try to make a reflective image, Jay, what you want to do is you want to lower the opacity. Now, there's some cool things that you can do as well. Let me see if I have an image here that we can do that with. Since you brought that up, let's see if we've got something that this will work with. And I may not have something here. That's as easy this time around. I could take this tree. There was my tree. Gloria said it was back there. She was right. It was back there. Now, if I take the tree, people ask, well, what would you do with those silhouettes? Just this. This is what I would do with those. Now, remember, that silhouette's now on the top image. So I can move it right here like that. How's that look? But yeah, you use your blur tool. It can be very helpful to you. Then you want to make your silhouette very sharp in the foreground. All right. How would you soften the hard edge on the shadow? That's a good question, Bob. I'm not sure I have a complete answer to that right now. The silhouettes came in a silhouette package that Usign offered a while back. I absolutely loved that silhouette package, and the question came up repeatedly. What would I use them for? I've used them for all kinds of things. This tree's maybe one of my favorite, and that's the reason why it was easy for me to grab, was because I've saved it on this platform so I could use it repeatedly. But yes, those are just great images to have. They're superb silhouettes, just really, really outstanding opportunity. I don't know if they're still available. Gloria could answer that question for you. I don't know. But yes, great opportunity that's there. Yes, the way, and that's what I was going to show, Sam, but I can't do that with this silhouette. Okay, the best way to do this is if I wanted to have, and I can do this. Let's see here. We'll crop this. I maybe have time to do this. Let's do this. Problem is my internet's really, really slow. So I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off or not, but we'll try. If I crop it right there, now I can save this as a PNG file. And I don't know if my upload speed is going to allow me to do it or not, but I'm going to upload this. Grady, no, there is not a ripple effect that you can put on that shadow. That's a great idea. It's a great thing, but yeah. There you go, Hillary. That's where you can get the silhouettes from. All right. I may not have the time to upload this. Yeah, you can kind of play with the blur tool and make some cool things happen there too. Let's see if we can do this. All right, I have this. So let me try to get a clean canvas here for y'all. We're getting up against the end of the hour, but I'm going to try to get this done as quickly as I can here. Let me change this. Take my background here, make a gradient background. I'm going to make the gradient gray because that helps. Put this down here like this. Actually, like that. Make this gray a lot grayer. Like that. Now I'm going to duplicate this. And this isn't going to be anything but perfect, but please understand what we're doing here with this. So now I match these two things up like that. Now I reduce the opacity here. And you see what happens. Flip that the other way around. But you can see how allowing a little bit of the background to show through makes a difference. All right. And you start to get the idea. Okay? Yeah, Sam, I was trying to save time. Okay, I could have just done it with the silhouette, and I did it earlier with just the silhouette. Could have done some cool things with that. I was just trying to show. The question was asked about using the gradient in the background, and I wanted to show how to use the gradient in the background. I wanted to make sure that we did that so that people would see that. All right, looking to see if there's any other questions. All right. Any other questions before we go? Yeah, Sam, I was just addressing the question about the gradient on the reflection. Yes, it does make it. You see what I'm doing with the gradient on the reflection. I could have made that a lot. Actually, my background is too big for the image that I have, but you see the effect that's there. All right. Anything else? Let's see here. Okay, great question, Stephen. Yes, you can do some really fascinating things with video. That's one of the reasons why I wanted to have Gene. I would love for Gene to talk about how he does that because he does some really cool stuff. We did a couple of those on. We've done a couple, and I can't remember the dates for them. We did a couple of webinars in which we talked about adding those kinds of images to videos and what you can do with that. And I opened Camtasia, and we played with that a little bit. You can use that with any other video creator as well. So that's certainly a good idea. Yeah, whenever you're doing something that's going to be that video quality, we do have the ability in the custom design, and I'll show you this one, Stephen. Right here, we have the ability to change the DPI. Okay, so when you save that, you've saved it in a higher quality DPI. 300 is always better and preferable when you're doing that. Makes your image size much bigger. Yeah, I agree, John. I think the new platform is way better. Yes, 300 DPI is the largest, and don't get lost in those high density woods because it's really easy to do that. For years and years and years, National Geographic's DPI was 280. So that was the quality that they printed at. I actually checked with the printer and asked about that, and that's what he told me, was that you don't have anything to worry about with 300 DPI. You're in great shape. So yeah, I know there are people who are touting, much higher than that, but there comes a point at which the return for the size of the files and that kind of thing is just not there. So anything else before we go, folks? We are up against the 10 o'clock hour, and so I always try. Yes, for fast loading web pages, 72 is perfect. Okay, good questions, Susanna. What you have to do is you can do that in a Facebook cover template and then switch to custom, and you can save it as the only place where you can save the DPI is in custom size. Watch what happens when I go to Facebook. It goes away. I don't have the ability to do that. But when I go to custom size, I do have the ability to do that. Okay? But only available in the only available in the custom design size. All right. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us today. As always, your questions have been fantastic, and hopefully we've shared with you some editing tools that will help make your life a little bit easier as you go down the road and continue to create the amazing designs that you create. Thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Be safe, enjoy yourself, and then let's just get on here and share our amazing designs with each other in the groups that we have, because we want to see what you're doing. We want to watch you work your magic like we all got a chance to see Gloria work hers today. Thank you for being on. I enjoyed having you today. As always, we'll be back here next week, next Friday, same time, same place, same webinar registration, same everything. Look forward to talking.